It's a race with a victory sweeter than the finish line. I'm Michelle Bowden. That story is next.
A major crackdown on cigarette sales to minors. Did your neighborhood convenience store get busted? And planning a vacation? Find out how to get cheaper fares. The news begins now.
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 Tonight.
Hundreds pick up the pace to help charities across the mountains. Good evening. I'm Russ Bowen. Asheville is home to more nonprofit organizations than almost any other city in the U.S. Budget cuts mean most are hurting. That's why today they struggled with something else, trying to cross the finish line of a unique race. News 13's Michelle Bowden joins us with more. Michelle?
This race is different than most because the participants actually get to decide where the money they raise will go.
Runners, to your mark, get set, go!
It is a sea of humanity, literally.
Oh, it's exciting to see so many people out here working for so many causes, and it makes me realize just how good humanity is.
Hundreds running, hundreds more walking, all part of the human race.
I think it's terrific. It's a good way for nonprofits to raise money. And also it creates awareness for a lot of nonprofit agencies, which is good.
Now in its second run, the human race lets people fight for their own cause. There are the Girls on the Run.
Well, it's just about letting girls have a chance to run and have fun.
There is the Western Alliance Center for Independent Living.
So we are raising money for modems for our computers that we give out to individuals who have disabilities.
There are folks from the YWCA.
It is fun because you get to talk with your friends and do a little bit of a workout.
And a reverend raising money for an emergency food shelter.
There are so many worthwhile causes, and it's just wonderful, I think, that Spirit calls individual people to different work.
More than 800 people, more than 80 organizations, more than $40,000 raised. In this race, the victory is more than just crossing the finish line.
Anytime I cross that finish line standing up, it's a victory.
But to have it go to a good cause?
To go to a good cause makes it all more worthwhile.
A humanitarian running in a race full of others just like him, and a few not so much like him, all a part of the human race. While this is only the second year they've held the race here in Asheville, the concept actually came from the West Coast, where they've done it for 20 years. Russ?
Thanks, Michelle. It's a divine swine soiree to help fight juvenile diabetes. These little piggies didn't go to the market. They went all the way to someone else's home after being auctioned off. The piggy banks were decorated by local and national celebrities.
We're really close to a cure. Inside of 5, maybe 10 years, kids that now have to prick their finger 5 or 10 times a day and tell their pump how much carbs they need won't have to do that.
And it couldn't have been a swine soiree without the Hogtown Squealers. Folks in the mountains send a strong message. They want to stamp out hunger. Letter carriers in Asheville and across the nation pick up food left in mailboxes by residents. Postal workers collected all sorts of non-perishable items like canned soup, pasta, and cereal.
This is really wonderful, this NAL seafood drive, because we're getting it during kind of the lull, during the summer. And food drive is super important to us because we get quality stuff.
Whatever's collected locally goes to families in our own communities. More than 100 volunteers help build dreams for folks with special needs. Mountain Housing Opportunities hosts a ramp festival. Volunteers met their goal. Working yesterday and today, they built 10 wheelchair ramps for the elderly and disabled. It's a method used often in court, but could be used now to help find missing children. Some call LifePrint the fingerprinting of the new millennium. The procedure involves swabbing the inside of a child's cheek, obtaining a DNA sample, and mixing it with a solution that preserves it for decades. America's Most Wanted host John Walsh endorses the LifePrint kit. A house goes up in flames in Madison County. Officials say the blaze started around 9 tonight on Fisher Branch Road off Highway 213 in Madison County. Investigators don't know what started it. No injuries have been reported. Mountain law enforcement agents try to extinguish sales of cigarettes to minors to end a rampant problem here in western North Carolina. ALE agents go undercover with a teenager to bust illegal sales. News 13's Michelle Bowden went along for the ride.
Sale or no sale? No sale, sir. No sale. Check the ID. Yep. Check the ID twice.
They are alcohol law enforcement agents working undercover with a 16-year-old to see if Buncombe County store clerks will sell cigarettes to a minor.
Sometimes I go in, they look at me funny because I look young, and they just ask for my ID. They either sell or they don't.
We hit a microphone on the minor so you can hear what happens.
Okay, here's the ID. You have to be 18.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
At store after store, workers refuse to make the sale.
I wasn't going to sell him no cigarettes. I knew he was too young.
Why? How'd you know?
He looks young.
Did you?
Plus, I ID'd him, and his ID was wrong.
The right move, the ALE agents say, and one they're glad to see.
They've done a real good job today. Everybody's checked an ID and nobody sold any tobacco.
But he says some of these same stores have been snagged selling to minors in the past.
Yes, they have. They sure have. And so maybe they're coming around and they're sort of getting the message.
Michelle Bowden, News 13.
Late this afternoon, the agents busted 2 stores in Fairview for selling cigarettes to the 16-year-old. Still, agents say 2 out of 15 stores isn't too bad. Stores in Maggie Valley want customers to come back. Thunderstorms hit the mountains this week, closing part of Highway 19 toward Cherokee. The road is now reopened, and business owners say they're ready for customers to storm into their shops.
Once the sign came down, I believe it was this morning, we have noticed the traffic pickup. We've had people come in and looking for rooms. We've had people in our restaurant looking for food and meals and such. So we're looking forward to a great season this year in Maggie Valley.
Owners say they hope warmer weather will continue to draw in crowds as tourist season kicks off. It's a bloomin' good time. Chefs, artists, musicians, vendors, and growers, they're all in one place this Saturday at the Whole Bloomin' Thing in Waynesville. The event is designed to introduce you to local produce, growers, and artists. Organizers say the festival will be a yearly tradition celebrating spring and the growing season. All proceeds will benefit the Creekside Public Market Project, which will be opening soon. Everyone wants to save a buck, so what will you do to find a cheaper airfare? We'll give you some advice.
You're watching News 13 Tonight. Closed captioning is sponsored by Martin Vagan Ford, Lincoln, Mercury, and Morganton.
The Friendly Skies offer fierce competition when it comes to airline ticket prices. Navigating the best deal takes time and patience and a little knowledge. So what's the ticket to finding cheaper fares? Tonight, Candace Little has some advice in a News 13 special report.
It's a race through the airport, from the ticket counter to the gate. But the real contest comes before you're airborne. Passengers on the same flight often pay very different fares. What? $317 round trip for this couple.
I tried to go on orbitz.com and like that, but and it looks like there's tons of flights, but when you go to book one, it's not available.
They're not available, so we've been frustrated with that way.
It
was a great trip.
The Casbergs, who live in Washington, paid $250 to take the same flight. They're leisure travelers with flexibility.
We plan ahead, book our flight early, and we go through a travel agent at home.
Business people and other last-minute bookers have a different tale.
Last year on a leisure trip, I paid less money to go to Australia than I did to go to Dallas, Texas.
Leslie Landberg flies on business trips almost weekly. He says he is fed up with restrictions, high fares, and convoluted pricing systems.
But the entire fare structure in the airline industry, in my estimation, has got to be revamped.
David Meyer agrees. He bought his last-minute ticket for about $600. He says that is a high penalty to pay.
Jumping through hoops and trying to get there is sometimes impossible.
But those behind the scenes say it doesn't have to be, understanding that the pricing system is here to stay, and then educating yourself gives you the best chance for a low fare.
In order to obtain your best rate,
typically you need to plan on staying over a Saturday night, and if you book well in advance, typically anywhere from 14 to 30 days in advance, that's going to give you your best airfare ticket.
Airlines typically require a Saturday night stay so that they're able to prevent business travelers from taking advantage of leisure fares. Business travelers are willing to pay a premium to avoid staying a Saturday night.
But these days, it seems everyone is looking for a deal. And that's where the internet or travel agents can help.
We try to find a better way, and the computer system helps us out a lot. It's very powerful and has a lot of different systems we can put in place that show us different routings, or, you know, through a different city that might be less expensive.
Another decision facing mountain travelers, which airport to choose. Asheville Regional may be closer or more convenient, while the Greenville, Spartanburg, and Charlotte airports sometimes offer more direct routes at a lower cost.
If people will use Asheville, then they get more people coming through there. They get more service because people are using the planes. They get more service, the fares go down, then more people come through there. And you see, it's a circle. Oh boy. I think it's going to get more complicated. And that's why, you know, once they stop understanding how it works, then it's harder for them, harder for folks to go, well, you know, maybe I just may want to drive.
From the passenger standpoint, nothing's going to drive us away more than higher prices. We're going to find other ways to teleconference or telecommute, and that we're not going to have to fly.
Candace Little, News 13.
And a random search for fares to 2 East Coast cities showed Greenville Spartanburg fares $20 to $50 less than Asheville. Orbitz.com suggests Charlotte may offer the best deals if you're headed out west. But Asheville Regional says it tries to keep its fares around the same prices as the other 2 airports. Well, much friendlier skies today than we've seen in the past few days during the week. And what's up with that weather? Let's go to Jason Boyer, find out if it's going to stay as warm as it has been over the day.
You're right, Russ. Air conditioners got another workout across the mountains. It's still another mild night across the Carolinas. Let's show you some of the highs across Buncombe County today. It was certainly toasty. Our weather spotters sweating away. 87 degrees here at our studios, 91 in Arden, 88 in Weaverville, 86 in Leicester, and 83 as you head towards Candler. Your allergy forecast, well, it's going to be climbing as well with the temperatures. We're looking at high tree pollen counts Monday and Tuesday. Coming up, we'll talk about the severe weather out west, and if we have to worry about that, come tomorrow. Stay right there.
The allergy forecast is brought to you by CVS Pharmacy. Now, your forecast from Western North Carolina's news leader, News 13.
Temperatures have certainly been toasty lately, and temperatures today setting the trend again with highs getting well into the 80s and even lower 90s. Air conditioners getting a workout, and this trend is not one that most would like to see this early in the season, but we have some changes in the midst, and I think you'll like them. Let's start you off locally with the satellite and radar. Nothing really going on out there, just a few high clouds coming in from the west. We did have a couple of isolated showers up towards the Lenore area earlier this evening, but things have really quieted down, and you can see the brighter whites indicating the clouds coming in from the south and west across the mountains. Those clouds will keep our temperatures on the mild side tonight. It was a warm day. In fact, another record-setting day at the Asheville Regional Airport. 85 degrees was our record-setting temperature for the high, 58 degrees for the low. We're normally 72 and 49, so well above those numbers today. 85 again the record, and 32 the record low still stands set back in 1966. 88 degrees for the high into the upstate of South Carolina. 72 degrees still at this hour, 66% the humidity, a very mild and even muggy night across the mountains. You can get away with shorts and t-shirts, I think, for most cases. Southwest wind at 6 miles an hour. Look at the temperatures still in the upstate. 77 degrees there, 75 Rutherfordton. Still have 70s in the foothills towards Hickory and Lenore, and Asheville and Hendersonville, the cooler spots at 68, 66 degrees right now in Andrews. As we take you through time, by morning, temperatures will only fall back another 5 or 6 degrees in most cases, especially with those clouds blanketing the area in some parts. 60 in Andrews by morning, 64 in Knoxville, starting off near 70 in the upstate. And look at the highs tomorrow in Anderson, about 88 to 90 degrees down there. 80 here in Asheville, so one of the coolest days we've seen in quite some time. 85 into the foothills and about 90 in Rock Hill, so it's going to be hot again, especially as you head south and then east of the area towards the coastline. Now, we have a lot of activity talking about here across the east. We're talking about severe thunderstorms, Several bands of those thunderstorms have now skirted to the north and east, and we're watching an impressive line stretching basically from Chicago, Illinois, Milwaukee, all the way down into the Arklatex of Arkansas and Texas. And there's numerous tornado watches out ahead of this system. All this is heading into West Tennessee, so Memphis, Paducah, Kentucky getting slammed right now with some torrential rain, large hail, and even tornadoes. This month has been one of the most active months on record in terms of tornadoes. Some of the big cities hit again: Oklahoma City, also St. Louis, Memphis, Kansas City, even the Ozarks of Missouri. We've seen around 310 plus tornadoes so far for the month of May. We're only 10 days into it, and average May is around 185 tornadoes total. So we're well above that. One of the record-setting years for tornadoes, unfortunately. Here comes the cold front out to the west into our area tomorrow. Out ahead of it, spotty showers and thunderstorms, some of those locally strong to severe. I think we could see some large hail and damaging winds, mainly south and west of the area. Not everybody will see that. 62 degrees tonight. We'll see some cooler weather move in by Monday and Tuesday. High around 80 tomorrow. Scattered storms again possible, especially the first half of the day, and then we'll quickly dry out, turn windy by Monday. Lots of sunshine Monday and Tuesday with highs only in the low 70s. And look at those overnight lows, Russ, in the lower to middle 40s. So turn off the AC, open those windows. It's going to be excellent by then.
Big difference.
Big difference.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
President Bush issues a disaster declaration in tornado-ravaged Oklahoma, clearing the way for federal aid.
A second twister in as many days hit Oklahoma City last night, and utility officials say 13,000 customers are without power. The tornado injured 5 people, 1 critically.
The day before, a strong twister hurt 134 people and damaged or destroyed hundreds of homes and businesses.
Quite impressive.
Unbelievable. He crossed the finish line first, but now some suspect he may have cheated. Find out about the Kentucky Derby controversy. And mourners remember a man who fell from a mountain even though he wasn't human. There's new doubt in whether the winner of the Kentucky Derby won fair and square. That story tops tonight's newsreel. The Kentucky Racing Commission is investigating this year's winner, Jose Santos. A photo of Funnyshine and his jockey appears to show Santos holding something in his hand in addition to his whip. The Racing Commission received the picture from a reporter with the Miami Herald. He may not have been human, but that didn't stop locals from holding a memorial service for him. Today marks 1 week since the demise of New Hampshire's Old Man on the Mountain. A couple hundred mourners gathered to remember the series of 5 rock formations that made up the man's profile on the side of the mountain. It fell, the victim of erosion. The Asheville Tourists try to keep a winning streak alive. Jenny Dunn's coming up next with highlights in sports.
Viewers unloaded on CNN in this week's mailbag. Lee of Madison emailed, "The press withheld stories to forward an agenda? Imagine my shock." John of San Antonio warned us to not take the moral high ground. "I just finished watching Mr. Perfect on Fox." Hugh of Columbus likened CNN's Iraqi cover-up to ignoring the Holocaust. Nina, a freelance writer from Pensacola, wrote, "Much of our printed news is directly related to the advertisers." Keith of Ames, Iowa states, "You say things I believe, but never hear on the mainstream media. How do you get away with it?" And Earl of Champaign asks, "How do you justify blasting CNN while using their reporters?" Earl, we hold everyone accountable, even those with whom we have a business or news-sharing relationship. In other comments, C of Norman, Oklahoma asks, "Is Mark Hyman real or a computer-generated object? If computer-generated, the software needs a lot more development." Go to newscentral.tv and tell us what you think. We'll air select comments every Saturday. I'm Mark Hyman.
Can the Tourists make it 3 in a row? I'm Jenny Dunn. The Asheville Tourists looking for their first 3-game win streak of the season. Tonight hosting the South Georgia Waves. Teddy Tourist showing off a little bit for us. We pick it up bottom 2, tied at 2. Not for long. Ashley Freeman solo shot to left. It's out of here. Tourists up 3-2. But the Waves roll right back with a home run of their own. Top of the 3rd. Jesse Hurlbeek sending this one over the left center field wall. So we're tied up. Bottom half of the inning, still tied at 3. Bases loaded for Asheville. Nick Gretz. Launching one to the left center as well. This one drops in front.